Yeah, I want to go over some specifics about, like we talk about when the dollar goes down, or if the dollar's been strong for a long time. And I know you've been hearing about, oh, the dollar is going to crash, but it's going to go up and down. It's not going to go away. But just to give you a little more explicit examples of how things can change radically, look at what happened in Russia. With the ruble. The ruble has been down a lot. Yesterday, I think it was 8%. The second worst it's been down in I don't know how many months or whatever. I think it was about 10 days ago. It went down 20% in one day. Could you imagine if the dollar did an 8% decline or a 20% decline in one day? You never hear the end of it. But here I got an illustration of really what's wrong with America in like a lot of areas of America, not all of areas of America, but there's the entitlement crowd. It's like, please insert carrot, thanks. A lot of people, I know they have to have assistance, but there's a lot of people who have assistants that are pretty much just sitting on their ass and wasting a lot of time. They could be doing a lot more, and they don't. They don't. They could be doing any little bit they do helps for themselves. I'm not saying to do for the state or do for other people, even for yourself. But a lot of people, once they have their hand out, they say, screw it, they don't want to do anything else. So a lot of people, that's really the internal rot that's going on. That's really one of the major, that's more important to know that this is going on than what the actual numbers are. There's a lot of narcissistic people out there that are pretty much just only much engrossed in entitlement fashion and, themselves. So, and, that's also partly why you're seeing, I know it's a policy for industry to move outside the United States, but it's also one of the reasons why it's happening. A lot of Americans really aren't fighting back. I know a lot are. I mean, I talked about, how many freaking cars and small engines are now pretty much made overseas. But if you look at the Ford F-150 pickup truck, that's the number one selling vehicle, not just truck. It's the number one selling vehicle in the United States. It's also got the highest percentage of made in the USA. I think it's 88% or something made in the USA. But, those are bought mainly by middle-class working people that actually do things, versus professional snake oil salespeople, carpetbaggers. That was one of my points on a video before because, not to say that all professional people are like that. It's a mixed bag. But there's a lot, when you look at somebody who blows a lot of money on foreign stuff, just because it's a status symbol, like, a girl here has got to have her hair a certain way because it's status. Or what? Not saying not to do it, but if your whole life wraps around this, it's bullshit. The whole thing is, as a well-prepared cat, you got to be having silver. This is a book from the book of well-prepared cats. You got to have your parachute, your silver parachute. But not only your silver parachute, it's food, fuel, and firepower. Now, with fuel, it almost looks like, it's going down. Like, why would you store it? Well, it's still pretty damn important because as it goes down, it means it's going to spike up a lot more later on, which means Russia's going to do good later on. And your silver's going to do good. But this kid is not going to be knocking the United States while Russia's doing good, like 99.99% of the other freaking alternative people out there. I'd rather, actually tell you the truth, I'd rather see silver never go up and, the United States stay strong and keep out this garbage that's coming out of the alternative media that only, cheers on Russia. But actually, I think there's a policy going on here because the most obvious way to freaking, say for instance you're really an anti-corruption person in the media and you say Vlad is a bad guy or something or whatever the hell he is. It's almost like, or, the Chinese elite are freaking really bad too. Oh, man. But, I know we got crap going on here. We got bad guys here. I'm not on their side. I'm not on anybody's side, period. But what's going on, it's almost like you're playing the yin and the yang. This is the yin and the yang cats. And they're playing each other against each other for conflict, and conflict produces change. And also, the fact that you have a threat on the other side means that there's more alliances, more regionalization. In other words, Russia's like getting into more economic cooperation with Latvia, Belarus. I think they did some other thing. I forgot what they called it. And China. But, it's almost like, it's not like, people aren't seeing a big picture. They're regionalizing not just politically, but they're economically because of the supposed conflict that's going on between East and West. See, NATO has always been a bunch of bullshit for that reason, too. I get a lot of Russian yo-yos out here commenting about, yeah, NATO. I ain't for NATO. Get the hell out of here. I ain't for NATO. I ain't for the UN either. I'm for the USA and a real constitution. The real constitution is about freedom. It's not about kissing anybody's elite's ass. So, I ignore this garbage with the stuff, with the yin and the yang, and you should too. You should too. But the alternative media likes to freaking play the game, you know what I mean? Not this kid, but I guess I'll tell you, though, when things turn around so fast for oil, look how fast it changed for Russia. But, oil prices being this low, it sounds crazy, but, later on, that means they're going to go that high because it's basically stopping new exploration. That's really what it's doing. It's really stopping new exploration, and it's actually driving some of them out of business. Like Texas is having conniptions right now. They've already seen a big casualty in Texas with liquid natural gas. And I've been telling you, this is all related to silver because silver is a high energy intensive operation, or any mining is. I know it's copper and silver usually, but not just silver. But any mining operation is high energy intensive. So when you see oil go way up, you're going to see silver go way up too, just for that reason. But it's also going to be other reasons because the dollar's been on a tear. It's been on strong for a long time. It's basically, one of the last things they got to keep the government going is to devalue the dollar. They've been talking about this for a long time. So, as unexpected things happen, it sounds crazy, but as unexpected things happen in Russia where, all of a sudden the oil prices went down to half and all this crap happened where the ruble lost 20% of its value in one day about 10 days ago and lost 8% yesterday, which is the second worst, basically, in one day. If that happened in the dollar, they'd be going nuts. But, if the Russians had silver, I don't think a lot of them could afford it, but if they had silver, they'd be protected. So, that's exactly what it's like it's a little more than a hedge but I got to combat a little more of this freaking stuff that's going on because this East versus West stuff is actually a game being played against us. But, you'll see a lot of propaganda coming out from like RT and stuff. But, if something like this happened, this was like a Russian war exercise, one of their landing crafts, near a crowded beach, man. I think it was in about a Black Sea or something. And, if this happened in Southern California, man, not only would the commanders be fired, there'd be criminal charges on them, and you never hear the end of it. But in Russia, as they say, beach lies on you. You don't lie on beach. Beach lies on you. And it's like they're telling you that's great. And I'm thinking, you're going to be an idiot. You know what I mean? You got to be an idiot. You got to be an idiot, to freaking think that that's a good thing. So, spoiled ass Americans, when they see this crap on a YouTube or something like that, they don't realize, if you were there and you saw this bullshit coming at you, you'd be like saying, what the fuck are those assholes doing? That's what you'd be saying. You wouldn't be like cheering them on like, oh, that's great to Russia. No, you wouldn't. So anyway, I'm going to give you a couple more deals on this deal because, I know a lot of people don't like me freaking talking about this Russia thing. I'm not a Russia-phobe, but I'm telling you is I think there's a game going on here, and what I've always seen, like not the Russia-phobe, is this deal, is that what's going on is planned is total economic collapse in the West. I heard this for many, many years, and what's going to happen is to introduce into the West a hybrid type of communist socialist system that has some capitalism mixed in with a human face, and you can already see this is going on. All right? As a matter of fact, the Americans are freaking biting on this in general as it is. Because I'll give you one little factoid here. The most recent Gallup poll named two people that are extremely the most popular with Americans, Obama and Hillary. Hillary actually is probably the de facto next president. I hate to say this. I ain't for her. She's an evil bitch. But, it's like, I think the New World Order yo-yos chose her, and you think Obama's bad? It's like, maybe Obama made some other people look good, but Obama's going to look good compared to Hillary. That's what I'll tell you, man. So let me get on to a couple other things here. I want to bring up a couple little factoids on things. I know a lot of times people, I talked about the Crimea. I know I'm digressing on here, but just want to bring up a couple points on other things. This is another port that is on the Black Sea, and actually they got several ports, but this is another major port on the Black Sea that Russia has. Russia was never in danger of losing the Crimea. It was a political move by Putin to boost his popularity. That's really what it was. I mean, the Crimea was always semi-independent, as it is. You know, and I know they voted, but he got 99% people freaking voting to go to Russia. Bullshit. I can tell you that vote was rigged. Even if they would have had, it would have really been 60%. That vote was rigged, man. So let me put it to you this way. This is another port that's over in the Black Sea, because actually in alternative media they make it sound like the Crimea is the only freaking port. I'm digressing on here, but I just want to bring this up. This is another port. It's Novorossiysk, whatever the hell it is, Novorossiysk. I don't know how to say that. But basically, Russia's got 400 miles on the Black Sea right here. It's right here. Right here. They got all this freaking land, and the port's right here. This actually was an area when the Russians fought very heroically against the Nazis, and they denied Hitler using this port, because if Hitler could have got this port and took it completely over, he probably would have taken over Moscow, because they would have had more area, they would have had more supplies going into Russia. But some of the Soviets valiantly freaking fought it, and it's actually known as I don't know, the Heroes or something like that, or the land of the heroes, or the port of the heroes, or something. And I ain't got nothing against anybody defending their own country. You know what I mean? I just want to tell you that it's like, I don't know why there's yo-yos over here in the United States that are just totally bashing the USA and kissing up to Vlad like he's a saint. So anyway, I want to put out another thing here. This is another area in Russia. And probably, I know you see this big map of Russia. Russia has got 9 time zones, right? 9 time zones. The vast majority of Russia is over this area. Actually, if you're talking about Russia, the vast majority of the population is in this one little area right here. The St. Petersburg, Moscow and all that, right? You know what I mean? This is Russia right here. This is Russia right here. All the rest of this part of Russia, it's more semi-autonomous, believe it or not. A lot of people think it's under Russia, but it's more semi-autonomous. In Krasnoyarsk is another area that's like in southern Siberia. That's where they had all the Gulag trains go and stuff like that. And it's also where they bring in a lot from northern Siberia, as like far as palladium and isotopes, and they bring it down there and they ship it away and stuff. Now, going up to this area of Russia, this is very interesting right here. Yakuts, whatever the heck you say that. I don't know how to say it exactly, but it's the Sakha Republic, this whole area right here. Now, just to give you a little idea of just exactly how it is in Russia, and I'm going to tell you because Putin is always throwing barbs at the U.S. about the U.S. doing stuff to the Indians, and yeah, it's true, but a lot of shit that the Russians did to other people, too. This actually, Sakha Republic, is actually comprises half the Far Eastern Federal District. It's the largest subnational governing body in the world. It's the 8th largest territory in the world. If the federal subjects of Russia were compared with other countries, it is larger than Argentina and just a tad smaller than India. That's how big it is, right? It's got 3 time zones. Now, just be patient with me on this, because I'm bringing this up because almost a lot of people think it's like one big Russia. Now, I'm going to tell you, though, they're semi-autonomous for a reason, and I'm not going to bring up the actual, I'll make it too long here, but they're semi-autonomous because they're their own people. In other words, that area of Russia doesn't even think about what happened with the Soviet Union. They just been their own people the whole time. You know what I mean? It's like they're their own country. Nobody goes there and screws with them pretty much, but the Russians have screwed with them in the past. They've actually had a lot of heavy-handed taxing of that area. They used to tax give us reindeer pelt and stuff like that. And there was like very heavy-handed ways they were doing things to collect the taxes. They were killing people off in that area of that semi-independent area of Russia, which I'm showing right here on the map. And it's a very cold area, but they actually had a revolt. They actually had a revolt against Russia. So there's a reason this is semi-autonomous. There's a reason. It's the largest semi-autonomous republic within a federation anywhere. So when you're talking about Russia, you're really talking about here. Right here. None of these people over here are on the internet. The people on the internet are over here. That's Russia. So Russia is not like this big mother Russia bullshit that you freaking like Vlad likes to talk about, because not everybody's on the same page, because a lot of people got screwed over. Now I'm going to tell you this. If you want to look at this part, and I'll just put two and two together just so you get some other. Saka is well endowed with raw materials. The soil contains large reserves of oil, gas, coal, and diamonds, gold, and silver, tin, tungsten, and many others. Saka produces 99% of all Russian diamonds. Now, you know what's been going on in the diamond industry. Diamonds have been going up through the roof over the years, like ridiculous, right? 99% of the diamonds come from Saka. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. 110 oligarchs got 35% of the wealth. So, in other words, when all this oil, gas, and coal, and diamonds, and gold, and silver, and tin, and tungsten come out of Saka, guess where the money's going into? The oligarchs on the other side. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you that a lot of people that are in this area called Russia don't really give a shit about these yo-yos over here on this side. You know what I'm saying? So that might dispel, because I'm going to tell you, the yo-yos on this side of Russia did a lot of stuff against the people in these areas that are semi-autonomous, like what was done in the United States to the American Indians. Like, Putin likes to mention that, but I'm telling you, it's actually, there's a lot of other shit goes on. This is not like one big happy freaking family over here, you know what I mean? But the New World Order wants it together. They're not going to allow it to split up. The New World Order wants it together. It's not that Russia, this will not be broken up in any way, shape, or form, because the New World Order wants bigger and bigger regionalizations. As a matter of fact, that's why Ukraine is either not going to ever be independent, although I would want it to be independent. They're going to go either to Russia or the European Union, or have both. I don't know. But, you know, they're making inroads here to go, you know, well, that's a separate subject, but just want to bring these things up to give you a little more balance on some of the bullshit that's being said on the alternative media. So, what's going on too, though, is like, I think what's going to happen here eventually, though, we might be going to more of the larger conflicts. This is all going to lead to conflict, because Putin's not going to get ousted over sanctions. It's just going to nationalize the crap out of Russia and turn everybody in Russia against the West. That's all it's going to do. And, you know, if I could figure this out, I could also tell you that that's exactly what they got planned. Now, I've been hearing other things on the internet. Now, this might sound a little crazy, but I've been hearing other things on the internet, and it may be bullshit because, you know, these people are doing drama for profit. But this does make a little bit more sense. There may be an attempted assassination, attempted false flag assassination against Obama, which will be used to bring about more division and racial tensions in America, which may be. Because considering how they've been playing out everything in the past, that's not too far of a stretch of an imagination to see that it could be that way. But you notice, the New World Order is all about weakening the United States, because the United States is too strong, and you can't have one area in a region in the world be too strong and have the New World Order be able to control everything. So the way to throw a freaking monkey wrench in it is not only just to own silver, but to do things on your own, learn how to do things on your own, and don't have that attitude, please insert a carrot, give me a handout, and all that kind of crap, or be narcissistic or whatever. You got to actually be a well-prepared cat. And, we're being played, yin versus yang. So, I don't know. I'm going to tell you again, with the silver, though, when it goes up, it's just going to surprise you. It is. It's going to surprise you. But I already know what's going to happen when it goes up. There's going to be a load of people out there just bashing the shit out of the United States and glorifying Russia and China. And I'm like, screw that. Screw that. Actually, I think what's going to happen here is that the market's going to get a major downturn. You're going to see this major downturn. I know they're predicting 20,000 Dow and $20 oil. I don't think it's going to go like that. But there's going to be a major downturn in the markets. They're going to have to do, super duper QE. And the money is going to wind up going someplace. There's going to be more inflation in the United States. What I think is going to happen, though, basically, is devalue the dollar. and devalue the dollar, you can see what happened when devalue the ruble. Devalue the ruble went down. What happened with the price of silver? It stayed the same. It takes a lot more rubles to buy an ounce of silver. That's exactly what's going to happen with the dollar. I mean, I know you've been hearing this shit for years and it hasn't happened, but the time is getting close now. You know, it's like the pendulum is swinging, the yin and the yang, and it's planned this way. But they want to actually, I say is people should have silver for is keep the middle class strong, keep the United States strong, keep the Constitution strong. You know, I gotta probably have to make a separate video on it because I'm gonna go on with something else with this Trans-Pacific Pact bullshit. That's another danger that's coming up. Obama's all in on that shit. And I'm going to tell you, the only way you're going to be a strong middle class is to get out there and do shit hands on. Period. It's not going to be a click a button. That's really what it is. That's really what it is, man. They're playing us yin versus yang, in not only internally here in the United States, but also internationally. So, you know, don't drink from the psycho cup of coffee. You know what I mean? It's like we realize what the game is. We see the situation, and we can take action against it. When it comes right down to it, the ones that are the useless eaters are the elite. The elite are the useless eaters. You don't need them. They don't do anything. And, you know, it's like you see like the middle management a lot of times is the professionals for the elite. You know, they got their head up their ass all day. Depends on who it is. I know that. I mean, it's not like that with everybody. But if you look at some of the ones out there in professional la-la land buying the $200,000 BMWs and Mercedes and stuff and whatever the hell else is out there, Japanese, whatever, luxury cars, and throwing all their money overseas, you can tell where their loyalty is. They'll cut USA middle-class workers' job in 2 seconds and move that stuff over to China in 2 seconds flat. They don't care about you, man. So, and like I really can't tell you anything that is a magic pill. Actually, like I said, a lot more of my videos are not always about this stuff with silver, but this hasn't really been a silver update because I think I went over all the factors before about the market turn down probably starting to happen in January because of the reporting for the energy sector coming in. It's going to be poor. That's going to cause a sell-off. And also the jobs reports are going to come in for the energy sector to show all those layoffs, which they haven't been reported yet. And when those factoids hit, it's going to affect the stock market price. And, once things start rolling, who the hell knows? But I'm not going to be sitting here cheering on the death of the United States. No way in hell, man. No way in hell, man. So, you can leave that up to the alternative media, the other alternative media with the freaking horns on. So anyway, in Russia, the beach lays on you. You don't lay on the beach. If you want to go for that shit. I mean, I saw this crap happen in the U.S., I'd be so freaking pissed off. I wouldn't be kissing nobody's ass about this shit. But it happens in Russia. They'll put this on RT like, beach lays on you in Russia. And like people cheer it on like a bunch of morons. But again, I just want to tell you, though, even though the New World Order is never, ever, ever going to break up the Russian Federation in a million years, because it's a large territory to be assembled into the New World Order. I just got to tell you, though, that in Russia, actually, like areas like this, they're semi-independent, man. This whole Asian section of Russia that actually comprises the smallest population in the Russian Federation, they're their own people, man. This part here is Russia, right here. This is Russia. A lot of people don't realize that, man. And they pump out the big bluster and freaking propaganda, like, oh, Russia has 9 time zones. Well, here's a semi-autonomous area of Russia that considers themselves their own people. They got 3 of those 9 time zones themselves. And they're actually, what they're mining here in diamonds, 99% of the diamonds, and you know where the money's going into? The hands of the pockets of the elite. These people over here in this area of the world, they're not getting the money. They're not getting the money in the Sakha Republic. 99% of all Russian diamonds. Like I told you, they were repressed way back. They were treated like the American Indians, man. And the reason is it's a semi-autonomous. It's it's a semi-autonomous republic within the federal Russian Federation for a reason. Because people don't want to be part of the freaking Russia fully, And actually, well, it's part of the Russian Federation because the elite bastards around Moscow and St. Petersburg freaking raped all the money off of them, right? What did Putin do? Did Putin do anything for this part? I'm going to bring this up. Did Putin do anything to bring up the infrastructure of this area, which would actually help bring all the cheapen the transportation of all the goods? And, they could have done more pipelines and stuff. Nah. Let's blow lots of money on Sochi for the Winter Olympics and pad the construction accounts of my buddies, right? That's what he did, right? So, let me put it to you this way. I know I got some Russian trolls around here, but I want you Americans to freaking realize there's more shit going on in Russia than there is over here even. That's how screwed up it is. And they're not so super united. But they're not, I told you again, they're not going to fall apart because the New World Order don't want them to fall apart. Now, if the USA falls apart, which the New World Order probably wants that to happen, it won't be falling apart completely. We just put it back together. It just won't be it won't be in the same way as the states are. It'll be under a different structure. And they're really going to put screws to it in. So what you really, in my opinion, is this. You're sticking with the United States and the United States Constitution. It's the only time on this freaking earth in all of mankind's history that we know about is that people broke away from the bullshit. And you want to tell me we didn't break away from the UK? We broke away from the UK. You know how I know that? Because we got the guns and they don't. They're not allowed to own guns, and we got guns over here. So he tells me right there, we broke away from the UK. Okay? Not the UK people, but I'm talking about the royalty, Nobody's telling us what to do. That's what it comes down to. So, over and out, kind of a hodgepodge update, but just remember, when silver went down, silver went down here is one thing, but when the ruble went down in Russia, what happened to silver over in Russia? It went way up. What's the next thing on the agenda? Devalue the dollar. I know they've been telling you that for the last 3 years, but it's going to come true pretty soon because these markets ain't staying this way, and this dollar super strength is not going to stay this way. The pendulum is going to swing.